In a recent video, I detailed why pumping and dumping is something in the hobby that I am just not really that concerned about, and why I think it is overblown as an issue by a lot of content creators. Well, in this video, I'm going to go into a different issue in the hobby that I absolutely believe is a real problem, and something we should all be aware of so we can protect ourselves and each other in some of our decision-making processes: shill bidding. What is shill bidding? According to this very academic-looking paper, shill bidding is the deliberate placing of bids on a seller's behalf to artificially drive up the price of his auctioned item. By the way, in this academic paper, it says an English auction, and just so you know what that actually is, let me share this very easy to understand and straightforward Wikipedia definition of what an English auction is. An English auction is an open outcry ascending dynamic auction. All right, so that makes it easy for us to understand, yeah? No, actually, just think of it as eBay auctions. That's what an English auction is. It starts at some beginning price and then gradually goes up as people bid, and the sale goes to the highest bidder. So on different auction websites, there are a few ways that shill bidding most often happens. One common thing that happens is a seller creates a fake account, or more likely two fake accounts, bids on someone else's card that is the same card they want to sell, so it goes up, and the price gets really high. Then once the auction is over, it just goes to the seller. They close the fake accounts they set up, and they go and put their own card up for sale, or a similar kind of card, now that it looks like this kind of card or this specific card is extra valuable, as it has recently sold for this much higher fake price. Another approach might be similar to this, but instead of bidding on someone else's card, they just bid up their own card until the highest real bidder is at the absolute peak of their bid, and then they retract their bids. And with a different fake account, put in a bid just a tiny bit under that real bidder's absolute highest bid to make sure that the bid goes for the highest amount possible, even if maybe it would have gone for significantly less had things not been manipulated like this. Why is shill bidding on eBay a big issue for the sports card hobby? Now, as awful as the shill bidding experience is for a seller who has a ghost buyer, or for the buyer who ends up paying way more than they would have paid otherwise, there's also a wider problem to consider here that affects the sports card market in a larger kind of way. In the current context of the hobby, previous sales on eBay almost always define what people consider to be the market value of a card. When shilling happens on eBay, it can have a ripple effect, as it creates a perceived market value that is based on nothing but illusion. It is entirely possible that the actual going price for that card is nowhere near what eBay previous sales is saying it's at. But since many people consider eBay previous sales as what a card's market price is really truly meant to be, there can be a handful of sales that all happen at this inflated price, as a direct result of this shady market manipulation of the shilled auction. But it's not based on anything real. Those people paying that higher price based on that shilled auction are very likely buying that card at a price much higher than what the real market value of that card actually should be. And that shilled auction can also have a ripple effect on other similar cards as well, especially in cases where the cards are really rare. For example, if some super high-end, let's say Anthony Edwards National Treasures RPA out of 10 gets shilled, as a ripple effect, it can also cause many people to misjudge the actual market value of a similar card for LaMelo or Maxi, or of Anthony Edwards cards out of 10 from a different high-end set, or other cards like this. When a card only has like one eBay comp or no eBay comps, it is common that people look at other similar kinds of cards to try to come up with an estimated value when they are looking to buy or sell. But if somewhere along the line, one of those sales is actually a shilled auction, it is entirely possible that there has been a ripple effect on down the line that becomes very difficult to trace. Thus, the high-end rare card market value based on previous eBay sales is all suspect. Shill bidding makes it so. P.S. That's just another reason to add to the list for why I much prefer to be involved in the low and mid-tier realm with sports cards. Because while there still is room for market manipulation, and there are things to definitely be aware of, it's not nearly as profitable for the nefarious to be involved in the low and mid-tier spaces as it is for them to do that with the high-end market. It's like, well, you may have to watch out for a counterfeit $100 bill or a counterfeit Rolex watch or something. You don't really have to worry too much about a counterfeit $5 bill or a counterfeit Casio watch. If it's a low or mid-tier card, one that hits the market relatively often, then if one of those cards does get shilled, it's usually very easy to just brush aside the one outlier when a buyer or seller is determining a card's value. So a shilled card like that ends up having very little effect on things overall. But with rare cards, it can affect perception of market value quite a lot and have a real effect on things. Is shill bidding illegal? Shill bidding is of course against eBay's policies, but according to this website that I know nothing about, but that seems to know what it's talking about, it's actually much bigger than just a policy violation. It is actually illegal in many circumstances, and there is the potential for legal repercussions for people who engage in shill bidding. Let me highlight a few sections from this website I know nothing about that seems to know what it's talking about. Shill bidding may also be considered a form of wire fraud, which is a federal offense under 18 U.S. Code Section 1343. Maximum penalties for the crime of wire fraud can include 2 decades imprisonment. Shill bidding has resulted in criminal prosecutions in New York State under the Donnelly Act. The Donnelly Act, found in New York's General Business Law Code Section 340 to 347, is an antitrust law that prohibits bid rigging and price fixing. The Donnelly Act has been used by prosecutors against people accused of shill bidding in online auctions. Being charged under this act can result in a maximum 4-year prison sentence and a fine of $100,000 for individuals and $1 million for businesses. So yeah, shill bidding looks illegal. So if you were considering doing some shill bidding and the fact that you just have to be a real scumbag to do it isn't enough to stop you, hopefully that is some knowledge right there that would prevent you from still doing it. Yeah, Carl, I'm talking to you, dude. I know what's on your mind. Stupid Carl. Grumble, grumble, grumble. How can you recognize possible shilled auctions? Even if you aren't planning on buying or selling any high-end cards, it's good to know what to look out for to be able to protect yourself and make wise decisions. And if you can recognize signs of a shilled auction, it's also helpful to being able to do some research on your own so you can become more aware of how widespread this problem really has become. I was making a video a few weeks back highlighting some of the highest cards sold during the first few months of 2022, and I just kept coming across cards again and again that had real reason to suspect of being shilled. I mean, before that I knew that shill bidding was a problem, but that exploration really helped me to see that it is a really big problem. There are a couple of things to look for when you're first looking to see whether an auction may have been shilled, and actually it's not that hard to see some suspiciousness. First, look at who is bidding on those auctions. If you got 2 accounts with 0 feedback or 1 feedback or something, having a bidding war on a super high-end card, most likely those are fake accounts. Now that being said, not every 0 feedback account is a fake account. There are plenty of people who haven't used eBay before, and if the sports card hobby does gain new people, it is entirely possible that there will be 0 feedback people who are completely legit, plenty of them. But all that being said, it is a very, very rare person who is going to go from never buying anything on eBay before to suddenly buying a card worth thousands of dollars. So watch out for that. Another way to recognize a likely shilled auction is to look at the history of that specific card sale on eBay. Most cards that are going to be shilled are going to be graded cards, because most high-end cards are cards that people are going to have already graded. And graded cards have numbers on their slabs, serial numbers on their slabs from the grading company. If you look through eBay's previous sales and you see this exact card with this exact serial number on it, and it just sold recently in an auction for, I don't know, say $2,000, and now someone is selling the exact same card and to buy it now for $1,800, then you should take a closer look. Maybe a totally legit, reasonable thing. But on the other hand, it is also very possible that that was a shilled auction, and now because of that shilled auction, that price tag looks like it's a bit under the market going price, which might make somebody want to buy it, despite the fact that that auction was not authentic. If you don't look closely enough, you might think that is a really good deal, but in actuality, that might be a terrible deal. Do your due diligence when you see something like that if you are into the high-end market stuff. What are potential solutions to this problem? Now, there's different ways to look at this question. There are plenty of things that can be done by platforms like eBay, but that's kind of out of our hands and up to eBay to do. So I don't know how valuable it is to think about that here. There are definitely things that eBay could look into doing and consider doing that could make this less of an issue. Actually, that earlier very academic looking paper I showed up on the screen, which I'll show again here, gives one suggestion for how an auction house could make shill bidding unprofitable for a shiller. But I doubt eBay is up in my channel views here, so I think it'd be a waste of time to go too far down that direction. But it is something that I really hope eBay is having internal conversations about. But besides these kind of changes from on high, there are some things that we can do. Perhaps the best one, in my mind at least, is to educate each other, is to share things that we're learning about with each other, and to make people who aren't aware of it, aware of it. Shill bidding doesn't work nearly as well if people are aware of it, able to recognize some signs that it may be there, and make their decisions accordingly. Now, as was discussed earlier, it isn't always completely possible to know, and sometimes the ripple effect of a shilled bid can even affect cards that weren't directly shilled, so this isn't a cure-all, but is definitely a helpful thing. Education's always good. Another possible solution is to widen how we collectively decide what a card's going market value is. If eBay remains as the central axis of all things related to card value determination, then shilled auctions will continue to remain manipulating the market. If we can widen our data pool, we can more easily see what cards are actually going for. Again, not a perfect solution here, but eBay being in the center of anything and everything card related just isn't a good idea if you ask me. 130point.com is a site that tries to give people free information related to card price sales on several different platforms. However, though I think they do make effort to filter out likely shilled auctions, I think the majority of shilled auctions still do make their way into their data, so I would keep that in mind. I think other data collection tools like Market Movers and Card Ladder also do make some effort to filter out obviously shilled stuff, but I really have no idea how effective or ineffective they are in that. I've heard that TerraPeak, something that is accessible to eBay sellers, might also have some tools to help with this. I actually have no experience at all with TerraPeak, so I'm not really sure about it. Perhaps I'll do some more research about TerraPeak someday and see what I can see, or if you have any more knowledge about that, definitely leave some information in the comments below. So I don't know exactly what other solutions are out there for us to consider, but I do think that it is something that deserves some thought and consideration. It is an area that I do hope becomes a bigger area of concern for eBay in particular, and perhaps it already is. I really don't know what goes on within those vast catacombs. I mean, maybe there's some superhero working over there trying to navigate his way through the bowels of eBay and do some profound things. You never know, I don't know. But for now, I think that's where we're going to halt this video. Let us know in the comments below about your thoughts about shill bidding or solutions or tools or whatever down in the comments. Check you next time. Peace.